What's up, everybody? Sensei Tom down here at Toro Martial Arts Academy. I want to bring you guys some more material that you guys can work on at home a little bit today. What I want to look at today specifically is going to be some footwork pieces out of our kickboxing and Kali curricula. Of course, anybody that's in any of my other classes, even the youth students, would also be served well by working on this stuff, even though it may not be specifically on their curriculum. Any of the footwork is going to help them out with their footwork when they're sparring or practicing forms. So this is something everybody can do, but what I'm looking at specifically are some footwork that are coming off of my Kali and kickboxing curriculum. The footwork I'm going to look at today are a couple different ways to advance and retreat linearly, forward and backward, and then I'll show you a couple things you can do to mix it together for more advanced students. So the first one, this is off of my level 1 kickboxing curriculum, making sure I'm in a good fighting stance here. This is just a lead change, stepping through forward and back. I like to have some sort of center line here. I'm going to stand over top of this line just to help you guys kind of visualize that imaginary center line as I'm moving forward and back, so you can kind of see where my feet are going in relation to that line. First, starting out, make sure my feet are not straight line this way, so I have good balance side to side. So I'm splitting that line. I've got that line right in between my feet. So the first one off the level 1 curriculum is a step forward, stepping through. My back foot's going to cross that center line and then move out to its new spot back on the original side of the line. So again, I cross over and I step through. Cross over and step through. Backwards is the same thing. My front foot now comes in across the line and then right back where it started. If you notice also, as I go back, every time my feet switch places, my hands also switch. This will be easier to see from the side. If I'm in a left lead, generally my left hand is out in front. If I'm in a right lead, my right hand is out in front. I wouldn't want to stand with my shoulders twisted this way. Now my hips and shoulders are out of alignment. This makes it very awkward to stand. So generally speaking, whenever I'm switching leads, as I step through, my hands will also switch places, whether I'm going forwards or backwards. And as always, when I'm standing here, my weight is not flat on my back foot. My heel's going to be up so I can be a little bit more mobile, a little bit lighter on my feet. So that's the first one. It's a stepping lead change going forward and backwards, okay? You can also add the jab cross to that. Every time you step, you can add a jab cross just to mix it up a little bit more. Make it a little bit more like your shadow boxing. Again, the jab side changes. Every time I'm in a right lead, my right's my jab. Every time I'm in a left lead, my left is my jab. So make sure you change that accordingly. Next piece of footwork we're going to look at a little bit later on the curriculum is the slide step. So this is a little bit different. The step slide, some of you know, is where I step with the lead foot and slide the back foot in. The slide step is actually where I pull the back foot in first and make a quick adjustment forward or a quick adjustment backward. So I usually use this to retreat. If somebody's stepping in, throwing a punch or a kick, and I just don't feel like blocking it, or for some reason my hands are out of position, or I want to reposition my body to throw a different kick as a counter, I might use the slide step just as a quick little way to hop out of the way. So for this one, I'm not changing leads. I'm sliding my feet in together, and then I'm stepping through. Sliding my feet together, stepping through. Same thing if I'm going from this angle. No matter which lead, you'll have to switch leads and do this on each side since you're not switching for the drill. I slide my back foot in and adjust forward. If I'm going backward, same thing, okay? And for this, you could also add the punches. So you could slide step, add your 1-2, slide step, add your 1-2, whether you're doing this in a right or a left lead, okay? The last piece of footwork I'm going to look at today, this is going to come more from the Kali curriculum, but it also comes in handy when you're doing kickboxing footwork, is the crossover, okay? The crossover is a way to switch leads here, this way. So the way I would use this is if somebody were throwing a kick at my leg, I might retreat my leg back out of the way. I could replace it back up forward and be back where I started. I could retreat out of the way and then counter coming back with a kick and then move back into punching range. But the way we're going to look at today is the crossover and pivot. I'm going to basically stay back where I was. So from here, my hands are up in my fighting stance. I take my front foot and I cross over, planting the toes, but if you notice my heel is still up. And then as I twist, now that foot will go a little bit flatter this way. Same thing going back, cross over, plant the toes, and then I twist into my new position. When I go forwards, same thing, my back foot comes in, plant the weight heavy on that foot. This foot does go flat. If you notice, my back heel came up, and then I untwist, back where I started. Again, plant the foot down and untwist. Let me show you that from the front angle. Again, splitting my center line, I cross in front, plant the weight heavy. I'm bending a little more than I normally would, just to kind of emphasize that I'm keeping my knees bent. I don't want to do this position with my knees straight. Makes it very difficult to keep your balance. So make sure you keep the knees bent. Again, my back heel is up, and then I untwist. plant the foot, and untwist, plant the foot, and untwist. Going backwards, same thing. I don't put my weight on this foot, just the toes go down. Heel is up, most of my weight is still on this front foot here. And then from here, I untwist. Again, plant the toes, untwist. Notice when I step, I don't turn right away. My hips and shoulders stay in that same direction, and they only turn as I actually pivot the whole body together, okay? So you've got 3 pieces of footwork. You've got the stepping through, lead change, okay, that's the first one. You've got the slide step, forwards and backwards, and then you've got the crossover pivot. Again, crossover and pivot, forwards and backwards. So for those of you that have those basic footwork exercises down already, what you can do to make it a little bit more challenging is you can combine all 3, okay? So for instance, I might do something like this, okay? I might do the slide step, I might do the crossover pivot, and then a step through. And then I can go backwards, slide step, crossover pivot, step through. You can mix them up in almost any way that you want. Okay, let me show you from this angle. Slide step, crossover pivot, step through. Slide step, cross pivot, step through. And you could add some punches in as well after each one. So you could slide step, crossover pivot, step through. You could add the jab cross or any other techniques that you want to. You could add elbows, you could add kicks, you could add knees, you could add head movement, bobbing and weaving, okay? Another neat thing you can incorporate with this drill is the quartering footwork, okay? The pivot. So every time you do a line of the drill, I can just quarter out, and now I can do the footwork drill to that angle, quarter out, do the footwork drill to this angle, quarter out, do the footwork drill to this angle. So adding the quartering also gives you a little bit better way to maybe use a more limited space if you've got a smaller area where you can't just keep going down the floor at a long distance. You can use that quartering, and you can just kind of do a little bit of a drill this way, quarter out, do the drill this direction, and that way you can make a little bit more use of your space if you're in a little bit smaller area like your living room or kitchen floor or something like that. All right, guys, stay tuned throughout the rest of the week, and next week we'll keep bringing you guys videos every day so that we can give you guys some stuff to work on at home. Stay safe, guys.